Hey Women Post artists, I wanted to show you another program today called Piskel. This is a really fun animation program. You can also use it to draw pixel creations and then animate them. If you look on the screen here, I have a couple examples that were done by the programmers and some other people. You can see we have Mega Man, and you can do color animation or just simply create your own sprite animations. To get started, you want to sign in the upper right hand corner. You want to make sure you sign in to prevent you from losing any work. You can just sign in with your Google account. Once the next screen you will get to is your gallery. You may not have anything on there because you haven't created anything quite yet. You want to next hit Create Sprite. This loads the user interface. So we're going to focus looking at the left hand side where we have our toolbars. So I'm going to start with the pen tool. When you hover over the tools, it will give you a description of what the tool is and also a keyboard shortcut. So if you're not sure what it is, just experiment, hover over it, and you can kind of tell what it does and get some little information about it, some keyboard shortcuts. I'm going to start by using the pen tool. You can left click on your screen to make your pixels one by one, or you can left click and hold to get a shape that you want. Now you can also use the right mouse button or two-finger tap to get your secondary color. Right now my secondary color is set as transparent, which is indicated by a checkerboard. So you can right click or do a two-finger tap to erase or use your second color. To change colors, you click on the color palette box in the bottom, and it opens up the color picker. So you want to click on the inside part to select a color or a different intensity of the color. On the right hand side you can change your hue. And you can see the preview that it shows up as you move your color around. You can also change your secondary color from transparent to another color. So we now have blue and red selected, so I could left click for the blue, and I could right click or do a two-finger click or two-finger tap for my left. So you can quickly go between two colors that way. Now, the next thing you may want to know how to do is how to erase. So there's a couple ways you can erase. You can use the eraser tool, which is keyboard shortcut E, and just go over it. Now with all the tools, you can make your tools larger. So you can get a slight preview of how large your eraser is when you hover over it. So you can quickly erase off big areas. Now if you make a mistake and you don't like what you did, you can also use the Control Z, which is undo. So if we hold on Control and hit Z, it's going to go a step backwards. Now if you went too far, you can hit Control Y, which will allow you to step forward. I'm going to set my color back to black. Alright, you can also draw shapes. So you can left click and use a rectangle, or you can use the circle tool next to it. If you want to make a perfect shape, hold down your shift key and we'll make a perfect circle, as perfect as it gets, or a perfect square. The next tool I'm going to show you how to use is the paint bucket tool. So I'm going to quickly draw in a shape. To use the paint bucket tool, this will completely fill in an area that you have enclosed, or can fill in the background, so that you don't have to go pixel by pixel to fill in an area. Now after you use a color, it will show up in your color palette, so that might be handy for you if you're trying to quickly go back to a color you previously drew. I'm just going to quickly make this into a fish, and then I will go ahead and color that in. And let's give our fish a little eyeball. Now right now I'm using the X key to swap colors, so if you know you are using a color frequently, you can just flip back and forth between the two. There. So the next tool I'm going to show you how to use is the Move tool. This will move everything on your entire frame. So if I click and hold, you can move your object around. Now you may want to move only part of your picture. So for instance, if I had, let's say, a bubble here, I may want to move that to a different part of my screen. So to do that, if I would use the selection tool. So if I left click, hover over it. Now if you just left click and hold, it will move the selection. If you want to move the actual object, hold the shift key, and that will move the object. Now to set it down, you have to hit the enter key on your keyboard. Now underneath that is the lighten tool. What that does, it will make the color that you have on your screen darker or lighter. So if I wanted to make it lighter, I would right click, or left click works too. You can also do shadows. If you're not sure what it does, you can hold the control. It will make the color darker. So it's a really easy way to make some shading on your objects. Depending on how many times you click, it'll make some shading on it. And just a single, without the control key, will make it lighter. So it makes it a little more interesting so everything isn't completely flat. Alright, I think I'm going to give my fish some floors. You can quickly draw straight lines by using the line tool. So the line tool will go in any direction that you want. It's got to click and hold. And then I'll fill this in. Now if I wanted to make my entire sand a different color, and say I had multiple bits of sand, let's say I had, I don't know, this bunch of yellow, I'm not sure, maybe the sand is getting dusted up. If I didn't like that color, you can use this other paint bucket with a spiral. So let's say I wanted to make it a little bit more of a brown. So if I clicked on the yellow with the paint bucket with the spiral, it'll change all the colors that way. That doesn't look quite as good, so I'm going to undo that. Next tool I want to show you is the symmetry tool. So the symmetry tool allows you to make shapes that are the same on both sides. So it's going to be a really quick, easy way for you to make something that has symmetry and make it look right without trying to struggle too much. Now you can use the symmetry tool. You can also, if you hover over it, hold the control key, and it will let you go the other direction. Or if you hold the shift key, it will have symmetry in all four directions. So depending on what you're making, you can quickly make some objects that have complete symmetry. These are also selection tools. So this magic wand will select everything that's the same color. Just like with the rectangle selection tool, if you want to move it, you have to hold the shift key. The lasso selection tool will allow you to kind of draw a shape around it to select an object. Then you can hold the Shift key again to move your shape. Next tool I'm going to show you is the dithering. Dithering tool will allow you to do a checkerboard pattern, which sometimes graphics will use for shading. So if I wanted to add a little bit of shading, sometimes it doesn't look good. So if I do that checkerboard, you can see how it gives me like a little bit of shading. That's not a good match. You notice that yellow is different. So if I want to get the same exact yellow, this is where this tool comes in handy, the color picker. So if you use the eyedrop tool, the color picker, left click, and that will give you an exact match. So now if I did that, you can see that yellow is a match. Now the last thing I want to show you today is how to save your work. Now this is very important because if you don't save it, when you go to close your browser, it will be gone. It does not automatically save. So to save your work, you're going to click the Save Disk icon. That's actually a floppy disk that you used to put into computers. You want to give it a name. Fish 2, and then you want to save to your gallery. I will show you in the next video on how to start to animate your objects. Hope you're having fun.